Announcements none. Papers have been laid. Questions?
Yes, Honourable Leader of the Opposition. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I've given notice of the following private notice question addressed to Dr. the Honourable Prime Minister, Minister of Defence, Home Affairs and External Communications, Minister of Finance, Minister for Rodrigues and Outer Islands. But in regard to the death of Mr. J.K. Whitey, allegedly through the use of a firearm, he will, for the benefit of the House, obtain from the Commissioner of Police information as to where matters stand in respect of the police inquiry initiated thereinto, indicating the number of A, cases involving illegal weapons reported since January 2025 to date, further indicating in each case the types thereof and quantity seized, and B, firearms legally held in the country as at to date, further indicating the Roman 1 amount of ammunition sold since January 2025 to date, and Roman 2 number of licenses therefore currently active, suspended or revoked.
Yes, Honourable Prime Minister.
Yes, Madam Speaker. I'm informed by the Commissioner of Police that on the 11th of June of this year, following information received at the Police Main Command and Control Centre, the QP Police proceeded to Chasser de Villars, Mildens, and where they found the body of Mr. J.K. Whitey, aged 40, with an apparent gunshot injury to the left side of the chest. The area was secured and exhibits were collected by SOCO. A forensic science officer also attended the scene of crime. An autopsy was conducted on the 12th of June 2026 and certified that the death was due to a gunshot wound at the chest. The investigation is being conducted jointly by the Central CID QPIP, CID Eastern Division, and the MCIT. In the course of the investigation, 21 persons were interrogated and subsequently allowed to go after their statements had been recorded. CCTV footages from various sources were also retrieved and are being examined. On the 8th of July 2026, a communique was issued by the police inviting the public to come forward with any information in connection with the case. A reward of 500,000 rupees has been proposed to any reliable informer. Subsequently, 4 persons have approached the police and statements have been recorded from 3 of them. The MCIT is continuing investigation into the matter by questioning suspects, which is being done on a regular basis, that is daily, in order to elucidate the matter. The inquiry is ongoing. I wish to inform the House that a team of foreign investigators is also assisting the police in this inquiry. With regard to Part A of the question, there are 4 cases involving illegal weapons since January 2025 to 27th of July 2026. The details of the cases are as follows. On the 24th of July 2026, a case of illegal spreading of noxious substance was reported at Cité Toll, Maïbo. On the 23rd of July 2026, an alleged case of gunshot was reported at Old Grand Port. On the 21st of July 2026, an alleged case of sequestration was reported where gunshots were fired at Palma Catrobon. And on the 22nd of July 2026, an alleged case of gunshot at Berkeley. Madam Speaker, with regards to Part B1 and B2 of the question, I'm informed that there are 4,287 firearms licenses that were issued up to the 27th of July 2026. The issue of firearm licenses is subject to strict eligibility criteria. The licensees should A, successfully complete the prescribed training and pass the required test, B, be at least 18 years of age and citizens of Mauritius, 3, C, be a fit and proper person to possess or deal in firearms, D, be physically fit and of stable mental condition. E, not to be dependent on intoxicating or narcotic substances. F, have no conviction under the Firearms Act. And G, have no relevant convictions involving firearms, domestic violence, or dangerous drugs, whether in Mauritius or abroad. With regard to the amount of ammunition sold, I am informed that the police have given approval to 3 firearm dealers to import ammunition. On a monthly basis, the firearm dealers are required to provide to the police the stock of firearms and ammunition. I have requested the Commissioner of Police to review and strengthen the procedures for monitoring the sale of arms and ammunition and ensure a more stringent control. Madam Speaker, the number of firearm licenses currently active is 4,287. There are 8 licenses which were revoked. I have also requested the Commissioner of Police to review the criteria for granting of firearm licenses. At the same time, the Commissioner of Police will review the list of firearm licenses and revoke licenses whenever the reasons for such licenses were delivered and which are no longer valid. Madam Speaker, in assuming office in November 2024, we inherited a law and order situation that threatened not only the reputation of the police, an institution officially recognized as a disciplined force, guided by the values of integrity, accountability, and public service, but also the very foundation of public trust in our institutions. We have embarked on an ambitious plan to reform the police with the assistance of foreign expertise and to transform it into a more dynamic service responsible to the needs of a modern society. In this context, the forthcoming setting up of the National Crime Agency represents an important institutional reform. The reform represents a pivotal step towards building an integrated, intelligence-led, and multi-agency response to serious unorganized crime.
Thank you. Your first supplementary.
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. To start with, I want me to express my
Yeah,
condolences
put your mic,
to the
put your
bereaved, family. Madam Speaker, regarding the tragic death of Mr. J.K.Y.T. at the hunting grounds in Midlands, can the Honourable Prime Minister inform the House of the findings of the ballistic report, specifying, if he has the information, the exact type of firearm used?
This, Madam Speaker, is part of the inquiry that is ongoing.
Okay.
Can the Honourable Prime Minister inform the House whether the ballistic evidence points to the use of an unregistered and therefore an illegal firearm?
Madam Speaker,
Can you
I'm not
reveal
in a
that?
position to give details on this at the moment.
At this stage.
Of
At
course,
this
it's an
stage.
inquiry is ongoing.
Of course.
I don't want to get into the details of the inquiry because the question is with regard to illegal firearms, Madam Speaker.
But
Now, the Honourable Prime Minister stated that in his answer, that the police offered a financial reward for information leading to the resolution of this case. Can the House be informed, therefore, whether there has been any tangible development or breakthrough directly resulting from this reward initiative? Honourable Prime
I
Minister.
just said, Madam Speaker, that the 4 people who responded to that, 3 of them gave statements. 1 of them was not valid.
Now, because that also you stated, let me ask you this question. You've stated in your reply that you've requested the Commissioner of Police to review and strengthen the procedures for allocation of licenses and also to review the criteria for granting firearm licenses. May we know what is the time frame, Honourable Prime Minister?
I'm not quite sure what the question. I've asked him to review because you know what happened in the past when we were in government. I can give you details. So we have to put order. Yeah, you destroyed the system. We're correcting what mess you did. And this is why he's re-looking at all this.
Honorable Prime Minister always refer to the past. We are living in the present, Madam Speaker. Now, can the Honorable Prime Minister inform the House if the police force has conducted physical inspections of all designated hunting grounds, that is chassé, across the island, including a thorough check of their registries, against the National Firearm Database?
The police is doing all this, Madam Speaker. This falls under the Ministry of Agro-Industry, but the police are they are coordinating with them.
I've been informed that no such physical inspections are carried out, Madam Speaker. Now,
No, Minister.
if this is the case, when those inspections are carried out, will the Honourable Prime Minister inform the House whether they keep track of the movement of firearms used for hunting and also detect anomalies regarding the presence or absence of registered members on these hunting grounds?
Speaker, how will they be able to follow everybody who's using firearms? They're doing what they're supposed to do. That is, if there's a case, they follow up, they do the investigation, as I've just said. But you're suggesting that they should follow everybody who has a firearm, it's impossible.
Referring to when the hunting season is on, Madam Speaker. Now, given that we are in the hunting season, can the Honourable Prime Minister confirm to the House how he intends then to guarantee the safety of civilians and law-abiding hunters while these sensitive inquiries are ongoing?
Let's see how one prevents the other. Inquiry is ongoing, and people are going for hunting. That's two different things.
We still don't know what happened, Madam Speaker. Now, with regard to the incident which occurred at Cantorel involving an alleged gunshot, can the Honourable Prime Minister confirm to the House if the firearm has been secured and what is the status of that specific investigation?
You mean the one used?
Yeah.
The one that was
Alleged.
used in, allegedly used?
Are you referring to a different case?
No, don't speak
Of
from
course, you asked a question about one case, now you're asking me about another.
don't speak from a sitting position, please.
Madam Speaker, we are witnessing a disturbing rise in the use of alternative weapons, notably the use of samurai swords and telescopic batons, that is matraque telescopic. Is the Honourable Prime Minister aware that in recent months, civilians have been arming themselves with these dangerous weapons for self-defense out of fear of being attacked?
It's unbelievable, as if we're living in America.
Would you know?
He should have looked what happened yesterday when his leader was questioned. He threatened to kill people with firearms, openly, to Ijimuli. And now he's telling me all this.
The henchmen of the leader.
No,
Your people.
come with your next question, please. Otherwise,
Bodyguard.
This is not relevant at all, Madam Speaker.
Your own. Law and order.
Now, the police force is overwhelmed with the rise in crime in this country. May I ask the Honourable Prime Minister what concrete measures have been put in place by the Commissioner of Police to prevent a situation where victims are forced to defend themselves and they end up on the accusations bench, Madam Speaker?
Madam Speaker, I think the Honourable Leader of the Opposition should know section of the Constitution, section 71(3) is clear. I give a general guidance, directions
To the
of policy to the Commissioner of Police. I don't tell him, go and do this, go and do that, go and do that. That I can't do.
Speaker, the fear is real in this country. The population no longer trusts the state to protect them, unfortunately. Madam Speaker, we often hear concerns regarding the use of tasers.
Chup chap.
Can the Honourable Prime Minister confirm, firstly, whether it is still under consideration for police officers to be equipped with tasers, Madam Speaker?
Just to answer that first part, I've got three, I can table it. What happened during your mandate, where firearms were openly being sold. People who were going to tell the police, they were being arrested. Plusieurs vols d'armes à feu en 24 heures, in May 2022. Des pièces d'armes à feu saisies en enquête initiée pour importation illégale, September 2022. June 2016, armes à feu, les autorités désarmées. This is what was happening under the previous regime. This is what we're correcting. This is why we're coming with this new institution that is called the National Crime Agency to put order in all those things.
Okay. Some people are asking for supplementaries. Okay. Do you have?
Yeah, I have quite a few questions. If you want to
Okay.
read them, then it's okay, Madam Speaker.
Okay. Dr. Amir? Dr. Amir? Yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Then,
May I ask the Honourable Prime Minister, will you recommend to the Commissioner of Police or Government for the establishment of a centralized electronic registry enabling real-time monitoring of firearm licenses, renewals, transfers, losses, and revocations, since, as you just mentioned, in the last government, these were done openly selling arms to the public? Thank you.
This is what I said earlier. It was arms were being sold openly. People were threatened yesterday. His former lead, his leader, not former, threatened people with firearms to kill people yesterday in the public.
will
This
you?
is what they were doing.
One moment. The honourable member asked you whether you are agreeable. Can you say that again? To setting up.
Yes, of course I'm agreeable. I believe that the police must be doing this, but I will check.
Yes. I have Honourable Duval first.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. May I ask the Prime Minister, referring to the inquiry in this case, more particularly the reward money that has been offered, which I think, Madam Speaker, is the right thing where witnesses do not come forward. Drawing on that, can I ask the Prime Minister whether he will consider, in another court case, the cas de Nadine Dantier, whether he will consider, in that case too there were no witnesses brought forward, and the family has been looking to offer a reward, whether the Prime Minister will now consider to extend the same mechanism for the cold case of Nadine Dantier.
He's talking of a cold case.
I believe this was done, but I will have to check. I can't say for
Yes.
sure. But I can say that this case, I reopened the case, if you remember, and with the help of external police officers. And this is ongoing. The problem is all the evidence, a lot of the evidence have disappeared. So that is why it's taking so long.
Yeah, okay. Wait for a while. Yes.
Yeah, Madam Speaker, I take note that you've allowed the Honourable Prime Minister to quote from newspapers today in this House, Madam Speaker.
Oh, okay.
Madam Speaker, may I ask the Honourable Prime Minister whether he is aware of a disturbing practice where many persons holding licenses for hunting do not actively engage in the sport, yet continue, Honourable Prime Minister, to legally acquire ammunition year after year?
I can only inquire because if they have applied for a firearm license for hunting and they don't go hunting, it is a choice that they make. Maybe they will go and hunt in 1 year's time.
We have an issue, Madam Speaker. Can the Honourable Prime Minister confirm whether there are individuals in this country currently exploiting this practice to hoard artillery and ammunition, and whether any of these individuals are suspects in ongoing inquiries related to drug cartels
Now
in
we're
the country?
talking of hoarding now, not just,
I explained just now, Madam Speaker, in my answer, that there are strict criteria for firearm licenses. I gave, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 criteria that I mentioned. These are the criteria that they have to stick to.
yes, Mr. Bichuk? Oh, it's already done, okay. Yes,
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker.
you were on the same wavelength, it seems.
Yeah, is the Honourable Prime Minister aware of the illegal online sale of restricted or prohibited firearms on social media platforms? And can you inform the House what actions are being taken by the police cybercrime unit to address same?
The police are aware of this, Madam Speaker, and they are looking into that matter because this is a complex situation because they're doing it through internet. This also is being looked into.
Yes, last,
Thank you,
good.
Madam Speaker. Will the Honourable Prime Minister inform the House whether consideration will be given to establishing a controlled firing range facility to allow legal firearm permit holders to undergo mandatory firearm safety and shooting training?
That they have to do. These are part of the conditions for them to obtain a firearm license.
Okay. Okay, we are done with the question. Thank you, everybody. Now we go to PMQT. Yes, I'm calling on Honorable Babulal. Yes?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. B 1144.
Madam Speaker, the House knows the state age pension will replace the basic retirement pension as from the 1st of January of 2027. The residency criteria to be eligible for the state age pension is also being reviewed from that date. Under the basic retirement pension scheme, the current residency criteria is as follows. Under the current system, a Mauritian citizen under the age of 70 who is residing or working abroad qualifies for the basic retirement pension if he or she has resided in Mauritius for an aggregate period of at least 12 years since attaining the age of 18. This residency criterion will no longer apply for a Mauritian citizen who reaches the age of 70. That is, he decides to stay there and to retire here. B, as regards to a non-citizen, the payment of the basic retirement pension is conditional upon the latter having resided in Mauritius for at least 15 years in aggregate since his 40th birthday, 3 of those 15 years being immediately before his claim. That is with the basic retirement pension. Madam Speaker, the residency criterion is being improved through an amendment in the Finance Bill of 2026. A person will now become eligible to the state age pension if he or she has resided in Mauritius, 1, for an aggregate period of at least 15 years since attaining the age of 40, and 2, for an aggregate of 12 months in the last 3 years preceding his claim for the pension. As the state pension, age pension, like the basic retirement pension, is a non-contributory pension, financed entirely from public funds, the change in the residency criterion will ensure that public funds are redistributed in a fair manner. This change will ensure that the state age pension goes to people who have contributed to the development of our country and society and its tax system over their working lives, rather than those who have chosen to work abroad all their lives and now opt to come back to retire in Mauritius. Madam Speaker, let me reassure the pensioners who are already drawing the basic retirement pension under the current residency criteria that the change will not apply to them. The new residency criterion will apply only to persons making the application for the state age pension as from the 1st of January 2027. As regards the estimated number of persons who would become eligible to the state age pension, this can only be determined when a claim is made based on the person's residency record. It is therefore not possible at this stage to determine the number of Mauritian citizens currently residing or working abroad who may not satisfy the revised residency condition.
Yes, yes, please.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I thank the Honorable Prime Minister for his answer. After the means test and the number plate measure that was suspended, this is the third measure that is being revisited by
You're not
the
putting a
government.
question.
Given that the finance bill, actual residency requirement, an aggregate of 12 months within the last 3 years differs materially from what was announced in the budget. And next, can the Prime Minister inform the House why this discrepancy was allowed to stand unclarified for so long?
So that it was allowed to stand for so long is the fact that we do not want people who have stayed abroad, work abroad, up to the age of retirement, then suddenly come to Mauritius to retire and benefit from the same pension scheme. That is the reason.
Yes? Second.
Can the Honorable Prime Minister inform the House whether any actuarial or fiscal impact assessment was carried out before setting the 15-year threshold? And if so, will the Honorable Prime Minister table it for the benefit of the House?
The people who were working on the pension, this was a policy decision. It's not by the experts. We decided that somebody who stayed abroad, worked abroad, and then comes to retire to Mauritius should not be entitled to that pension when he's died. He has never paid taxes here, never done anything for Mauritius. It hasn't improved anything here. That is the reason. It's a policy decision.
Okay. Next question. Honorable Second Member for Rivière-des-Anguilles.
Merci, Madame. Question B1145, s'il vous plaît.
Madam Speaker, I'm informed by the Commissioner of Police that from the 1st of January 2014 to 27th of July 2026, 23 police officers were arrested and interdicted from duty in connection with 18 cases of drug trafficking. The outcome of these cases is as follows. In 2014, a case was established against 2 police officers. One of the police officers passed away during the inquiry, and the second one was sentenced on the 31st of May 2019 to a penal servitude of 15 years and a fine of 10,000 rupees. In 2016, in one case, 3 police officers were arrested. Again, one of them passed away during the inquiry. The second one is awaiting judgment from the Supreme Court since 2019. And the third one was sentenced to 35 years of penal servitude and a fine of 150,000 rupees. However, the latter has lodged an application for leave to appeal to the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council. In 2017, one case was registered involving one police officer who was sentenced to 15 years of imprisonment and a fine of 200,000 rupees in November 2023. In 2019, one police officer was arrested and advice from the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions is awaited since May 2023. In 2021, 2 cases were registered, each involving one police officer. The first police officer was sentenced to 8 years penal servitude and a fine of 50,000 rupees in March 2025, while the other officer is awaiting trial. In 2022, 2 cases were registered, each involving one police officer. For the first police officer, a case has been lodged before the assizes, and the ruling has been reserved following arguments by counsels on the 6th of February 2026. The case of the second police officer is still under inquiry. In 2023, one case was registered involving one police officer, and the case is under inquiry. In 2024, 4 cases were registered, each involving one police officer. The case of one of the police officers has been lodged before the Supreme Court in January of this year and came for mention on the 23rd of June of this year. The cases of the remaining 3 officers are still under inquiry. In 2026, 5 cases were registered involving 7 police officers, and these cases are also under inquiry. I should add, Madam Speaker, the government will be reviewing the policy regarding payment of full salary to public officers under interdiction.
Thank you. Yes. Yes, one question.
Thank you, Madam. Can the Honorable Prime Minister inform the House what was done and what will be done to deter police officers from being engaged in such illegal, illicit, or immoral activities?
No, actually, as it stands, I've mentioned how they were sentenced to long periods, 35 years in one case, I think I said, and plus the fines. But if after we have the National Crime Agency, if we feel there's a need to strengthen this, it will be strengthened. But the bad apples will be sorted out.
Yes, all right. Next question, Mr. Etwaria. Oh, I'm sorry. It's not that I didn't see you. All right. I'll just receive a note.
No
that's fine.
problem. Madam Speaker, I spoke about that the last time. I'll ask the Prime Minister with regards to what he has just stated, reviewing the payment to interdicted police officer. I will ask the Prime Minister to consider setting up a specialized tribunal for cases of offences on the job. Like in any other profession where you are employed and you contradict your terms of employment, you are taken to task regardless of the penal prosecution that may come. Whether he will consider, like other countries have done, setting up a specialized
Well, we
tribunal,
got the question.
taking them to task, because I would like to remind the Prime Minister that according to the Director of Audit, 400 million rupees is spent on payment of interdicted officers, many of whom for drug offences on the job.
Okay. Yes, Prime Minister.
That's why I said we're reviewing this policy, that they should not be allowed to take the full pay while they're waiting for years for the case to come to court. This I will have to talk to the members of the judiciary to see whether they're prepared to have the tribunal. Already they complain that there's a long list and they want, it's difficult. This is why when you answer the question, you saw, for example, a case is investigated, sent to court, it takes a long time.
Yes. Honourable Third Member for Grand B, Poudre-d'Or.
Merci Madame la Présidente. B1046, s'il vous plaît.
Madam Speaker, with regard to Part A of the question, I'm informed that Mauritius has concluded 12 bilateral and plurilateral maritime defense and security arrangements and memoranda of understanding with friendly countries and regional organizations. Collectively, these agreements provide the legal framework for cooperation in areas such as maritime security and maritime domain awareness with a view to enhancing the protection of our exclusive economic zone. Following the arrangements currently in force, the following agreements are currently in force. One, memorandum of understanding among governments of member states of the Indian Ocean Rim Association on the coordination and cooperation of search and rescue in the Indian Ocean region. Two, regional agreement on the coordination of operations at sea in the Western Indian Ocean. Three, agreement for the setting up of a regional maritime information exchange and sharing mechanism in the Western Indian Ocean region. Four, an agreement between the government of the Republic of France and the government of the Republic of Mauritius in the matter of search and rescue at sea. Five, technical agreement between the Mauritius Police Force and the French Armed Forces in the Southern Indian Ocean. Six, the Djibouti Code of Conduct. Seven, agreement between the government of the Republic of Mauritius and the government of the French Republic on the defense cooperation. 8, agreement between the government of the Republic of South Africa and the government of the Republic of Mauritius for the coordination of search and rescue services. 9, technical agreement on sharing white shipping information between the Indian Navy and the Mauritius Police Force. 10, lettre d'intention relative à l'établissement d'un jumelage entre deux unités des forces de police mauriciennes et les forces armées françaises. 9, memorandum of understanding between the government of Mauritius and the government of India on the improvements of sea and air transportation facilities at Agalega, which is part of the Republic of Mauritius. And 9, state partnership program between Mauritius Police Force and the New Mexico National Guard of the United States of America. Madam Speaker, the broad objectives of the agreement are: 1, to facilitate the timely exchange of maritime information and intelligence; 2, to enhance cooperation in combating piracy, armed robbery at sea, illicit trafficking, terrorism, and other forms of transnational organization crime; C, promote coordinated maritime operations search and rescue activities, and humanitarian assistance where appropriate. D, strengthen interoperability through joint training exercises, technical assistance, and capacity building. And E, strengthen preparedness and response capabilities for natural disasters and major emergencies. Furthermore, there is one agreement currently under consideration with the United States of America for the strengthening of maritime operations to combat transnational organized crimes. Madam Speaker, with regard to Part B of the question, I'm informed that none of the defense and security arrangements currently in force or under consideration provides for or otherwise relates to the exploitation of oil, gas, or other natural resources within the exclusive zone.
Yes, go ahead.
I thank the Prime Minister for his answer. Can the Prime Minister give some elements of information regarding the choice of a French company, Viridia, which was announced last Friday, that can eventually lead to the discovery of raw materials in the Indian Ocean?
None of these agreements pertain to the look for these petroleum products or whatever minerals might be in our region. These agreements do not concern this. But although I should add, the joint agreement between us and the Seychelles for the Mascarene Plateau, this we have included it.
Okay, next question. Honorable third member for Vieux-Grand-Port, yes?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. PQ B1147, please.
Madam Speaker, I'm informed by the Commissioner of Prisons that on Friday, the 17th of July 2026, the Mauritius Prison Service took cognizance of a video and 2 photographs circulating on the social media allegedly depicting illicit activities within the Bobassin Central Prison. On the same day, the Prison Intelligence Unit carried out an internal assessment and reported the following. First, a mobile phone without a SIM card was secured from a bin within the central prison. 2, a video and 2 photographs circulating on the social media were found on that device. And 3, 10 persons appearing in the video and photographs were identified as prisoners of the Bobassin Central Prison. On the 20th of July 2026, the matter was reported to the police and an investigation was initiated by the Central Crime Investigation Department. The mobile phone seized by the Mauritius Prison Service was secured by the police and for investigation purposes. The police IT unit is carrying out forensic examination of the mobile phone. On the 23rd of July 2026, the police has contacted the prison services for the retrieval of CCTV footage. The police inquiry is ongoing. I'm informed that the Commissioner of Prisons has transferred detainees BJ, HR, and PC to Phoenix Prison and PLF to Eastern High Security Prison. The remaining 7 detainees were relocated to different association yards and segregation units of the central prison of Bobassin.
Yes, yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Is the Honourable Prime Minister aware of an alleged common practice in prison compounds called pelleting, which constitutes the throwing by professionals of prohibited and illicit items such as mobile phones, drugs, cigarettes, etc., into the prison compounds?
This question was asked before. The tender has gone. Unfortunately, we will have to go through a process of tender, and this is what delays a lot of things. I personally didn't think there was a need for tender in that case because it's a simple thing that we put for the penalty, but that is the procedure.
Yes, second question.
Thank you. Insofar as the existence of prohibited items in prisons are concerned, surely the carrying out of regular thorough searches will bring this to a stop or at least reduce it. Would the Honourable Prime Minister consider the possibility of taking up the matter with the Commissioner of Prisons so that regular thorough searches are carried out within the prison compounds?
Yes, Prime Minister.
He's well aware of this. He's a new Commissioner of Prisons, relatively new. He says they do this. But in spite of this, we see the result, which is why we need to have a big reform.
Okay, next question has been withdrawn, 1148. So now we go to Honourable Second Member for Audrey.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. B-stroke 1149.
I didn't realize 48 was removed. Madam Speaker, police officers posted in Rodrigues form an integral part of the Mauritius Police Force. Accordingly, these officers are fully integrated into the training and professional development framework of the Mauritius Police Force. They benefit from the same operational support, training, and professional development opportunities as other members of the force. I'm informed, Madam Speaker, by the Commissioner of Police that police officers posted in Rodrigues are already benefiting from Interpol-supported training programs which are conducted in Mauritius. Besides, for the first time, Interpol conducted specific training in Rodrigues from the 6th to the 10th of July of this year. The two Interpol criminal intelligence officers, assisted by officers of Interpol National Central Bureau, conducted a maritime investigation course in Rodrigues under the European Union-funded Safe Seas for Africa and Port Security Project. 20 participants benefited from the training, including 14 police officers from Rodrigues. I'm further informed that another training course on criminal analysis is scheduled to take place from the 31st of August to the 4th of September 2026. It will take place in Rodrigues by Interpol, and 20 police officers have been designated to participate. I also wish to inform the House that previously Rodrigues Island was not connected to Interpol Global Secure Police Communication System and had to rely on the National Central Bureau in Port Louis. Since August 2025, Rodrigues Island has a direct access to the Interpol database on a 24-hour basis and can promptly exchange crucial information. With regard to Unipol, I'm informed that the Mauritius Police Force has never dealt with this organization.
Yes?
Just one supplementary, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Honourable Prime Minister, for this answer. May I ask the Honourable Prime Minister whether this will be a continuous and standard practice for Interpol training to always be conducted in Rodrigues as from now on?
This is a new approach that we are dealing with. It will continue.
Okay, next question, Honourable Member for Montagne Blanche and
Thank you, Madam Speaker. B 1150.
Madam Speaker, stagflation is generally defined as an economic situation where three conditions occur at the same time, namely stagnant or declining economic growth, high and persistent inflation, and rising unemployment. We are not experiencing stagflation. Our economy continues to grow at a reasonable rate of 3%, despite the highly uncertain and challenging global economic environment. Inflation has increased recently following the outbreak of the war in the Middle East, but it remains well below the 10.8% and 7% levels recorded in 2022 and 2023. As for unemployment, it continues its downward trend, falling from a peak of 9.2% in 2020 to 5.7% in 2025. Unemployment for both men and women is declining. However, because of the geopolitical conflicts around the world, there are real risks that our economic growth could slow down, inflation could rise, and that job creation could be adversely affected. That is why, Madam Speaker, the reforms we are doing are necessary, and policy decisions must be taken proactively in the light of evolving international economic developments. With regards to Part A of the question, we have taken various measures to mitigate the negative impact of such external developments. Furthermore, a number of measures have been announced in the 2026-2027 budget speech to give a boost to economic activities. These include building an AI-driven economy through the development of an AI and digital finance special economic zone at Côte d'Or, the adoption of artificial intelligence across schools, businesses, and public services, to supporting startups and SMEs through improved access to finance, business support services, digital transformation, and innovation incentives, modernizing the manufacturing sector by encouraging industrial upgrading, improving productivity, promoting digital technologies, adoption, and supporting higher value-added manufacturing activities. 4, developing the blue economy by expanding fisheries, aquaculture, marine biotechnology, and other ocean-based economic activities. 5, accelerating the renewable energy transition. 6, promoting innovation and research to support higher productivity and economic diversification. 7, expanding financial services and fintech by promoting digital finance, fintech innovation, and new financial technologies. And 8, addressing labor shortages and skills mismatches by attracting foreign talent, expediting work permit processing, and strengthening training and skills development. Madam Speaker, as regards the accommodation and food services sector, it is expected to record positive growth this year, with the number of tourist arrivals forecasted to reach around 1.47 million, despite the challenges arising from the ongoing conflict in the Middle East. To support the sector, government is taking additional measures to expand air connectivity and increase seat capacity, including 3 additional weekly flights by Turkish Airlines and the introduction of 3 weekly Ethiopian airline flights complementing Emirates' existing twice-daily services. I wish also to inform the House that I will be chairing a committee to review our air access policy. Greater emphasis will also be laid on showcasing Mauritius' unique culture, sustainability initiatives, ecotourism experiences, inland attractions, and the authentic Mauritian way of life. Furthermore, digital e-visa system will be put in place to facilitate pre-travel visa applications, reduce waiting times at the arrival terminal, and enhance the overall travel experience. As for the construction industry, it is expected to pick up gradually with the implementation of a number of major infrastructure projects, such as the M4 motorway, the Phase 2 of the Ring Road project, the Island Container Terminal, the Special Economic Zone at Côte d'Or, and the Rivière des Anguilles Dam, as well as major private projects in the renewable energy and other emerging sectors. With regard to Part B of the question, as announced in the budget, an additional amount of 2 billion rupees has been provided under the Price Stabilization Fund to subsidize essential products for the fiscal year of 2026-2027. The subsidy has also been extended to cover additional consumer goods. Over and above the Price Stabilization Fund, government is implementing a range of additional initiatives to mitigate the impact of the rising cost of living, which is largely driven by external factors. These include the introduction of a new legislation to crack down on abusing pricing, as well as clear framework for the parallel imports which are being worked out by the Ministry of Commerce. 2, bulk purchase of essential consumer goods by the STC, which will be sold with capped profit margins. 3, review of the framework for the retail sector, including trade fairs, shopping mall practices, and hawker issue. 4, introduction of new e-commerce legal framework to regulate online commercial activities, strengthen consumer safeguards, and improve enforcement in the digital marketplace. And 5, increasing the threshold for eligibility under the SRM system from 14,000 to 16,400 as from 1st of July 2026 and to 17,500 rupees as from the 1st of July 2027. Through these policy changes, government aims to cushion the impact of global price increases on households and ensure that the cost of living challenge is addressed in a sustainable and responsible manner. We want, with regard to the productive investment, as I mentioned earlier, a number of major infrastructure projects will be implemented in the coming years to strengthen the country's productive capacity. In addition, a new business facilitation bill will be introduced in the National Assembly to streamline procedures and reduce administrative burdens, creating wider productive investment opportunities for local and foreign entrepreneurs, particularly in the renewable energy sector, the blue economy, and the AI technologies. Madam Speaker, government remains committed to achieving higher inclusive and sustainable growth while addressing cost of living pressures. By implementing appropriate support measures, advancing productivity reforms, and promoting investment in key productive sectors, government will continue to strengthen economic resilience, protect household purchasing power, and build a more competitive economy.
Yes, do you have a question? Yes.
I thank the Honorable Prime Minister for his answer. Can the Honorable Prime Minister state to the House whether government intends to revise its debt reduction strategy in light of the credit rating agencies warning that current fiscal adjustments is insufficient to meaningful lower public debt, and if so, on what timeline?
This is what we tried to do, and we had to back down on certain things because people were complaining, including the opposition. That is what we've done. We have to pay the price of what we do.
Okay. We won't be able to reach another question. In any case, B1151, who has been transferred to be replied by Minister of Financial Services, right? Now, yes, now I have to announce, I have to read what is being sent to me. PQ. I'll look at this in a while. I can't deal with everything. The table has been advised that the following PQs have been withdrawn. B1155, 1164, 1160, 1157, 1161, 1166, and 1159. Let me try and see if I can work out this. B1165, addressed to Honorable Prime Minister, could be withdrawn. Okay, so we add B11, I suppose it is 65. Il faut écrire un peu mieux la prochaine fois. Un peu de penmanship ne fait pas de mal. Thank you very much. Now we go to questions to ministers. We have 35 minutes for that. I am calling on Honourable Fourth Member for Rodrigue, Mr. Edouard.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. B1167. Madam Speaker, there is no requirement for any import or export permit for Rodrigues Island, given that it forms part of the Republic of Mauritius. I am informed that the Ministry of Health and Wellness does not issue any permit for the export of food items to Rodrigues because the food stocks are purchased from local suppliers in Mauritius, and these food stocks are already verified and cleared by the Public Health Food Inspectorate Division at the port of entry upon import by the said suppliers from abroad. I am also informed that the transfer of cement to Rodrigues, no health certificate is required as it is not listed under the Dangerous Chemicals Control Act. As regards the movement of agricultural materials and agricultural produce between Mauritius and Rodrigues, I am informed by the Ministry of Agro-Industry, Food Security, Blue Economy and Fisheries that such movements are subject to phytosanitary controls.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm forever being solicited. Yes, please.
Yes, thank you. I thank the Honourable Minister for his reply. May I ask the Honourable Minister, can individuals who are facing problems report to the Ministry, mainly concerning cement? There are individuals, other than construction companies, that are facing problems to ship cement to Rodrigues. Well, I am informed that there is no requirement for import permit. However, there is an issue with one company which is asking to import at a subsidized rate. I understand that the Rodrigues Subsidy Account Management Committee is working on it. They are considering it, and they will let them know.
Okay, now? Right. Let's call Honourable Third Member for Port-Louis North and Montaillon, Mr. Kazan.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. PQB 1168, please.
Madam Speaker, I am informed by the NLTA that further to my reply to PQB 137 at the sitting of 24th March 2026, appropriate actions have been initiated for the issue of additional public service license for taxi operators at Bois Marchand. Indeed, a survey carried out on 25th of March 2026 confirmed that Bois Marchand, having a population of approximately 2,500 inhabitants, remain largely dependent on public transport, given the relatively low level of private car ownership. One taxi car is licensed to operate from the locality at the moment, and this is manifestly inadequate to meet the requirements having regard to the said population figure. Based on the survey findings, the level of service, existing bus services, and the generally applicable rule of thumb of one taxi per 600 inhabitants, the NLTA has determined that there is a need for the provision of 3 additional taxi licenses in the locality. I am further informed by the NLTA that a communique inviting applications from residents of Bois Marchand, which is a requirement, will be issued by mid of August in a few days' time. Madam Speaker, as I informed in my reply to PQB 1101 last Tuesday, the NLTA has an acute shortage of officers in the inspectorate cadre with only 15 inspectors in post against an establishment of 45. And this is not our fault. This for many years has been ongoing. Hence, it's taking time to resolve issues. I'm, however, given to understand that the recruitment exercise by the PSC is nearing completion and that the first batch of inspectors is expected to join the NLTA in the coming weeks. Pending the filling of all vacancies, the NLTA has been instructed to consider the possibility of performance of overtime work by the inspectorate cadre, especially after office hours at times when taxis are reportedly sometimes scarce on our roads and when they are needed the most, with a view to expediting surveys and inquiries for the issue of licenses island-wide, which is a common request for a lot of my colleagues. Madam Speaker, to end, up to now, some 7,802 taxis have been licensed by the NLTA. However, it appears that a significant number of them do not provide the required service, despite their benefiting 100% duty-free concession on the purchase of cars, 50% road tax regime, and a one-off grant of 100,000 rupees, which have been the practice for many years already, but then still they don't provide service as they should. The disciplinary committee of the NLTA has assured me that they are adopting a harsher approach and that there will be no leniency in tolerating those who do not provide the adequate level of service, and if requires, their licenses will be revoked. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Kazan.
Madam Speaker, thank you, Honourable Minister, for his answer. May I ask the Honourable Minister whether any assessment has been carried out on the number of additional taxi licenses that may be required in view of coming into operations of online platform taxi services such as Uber?
Yes, I would not like to use a particular commercial name like Uber because there is an ongoing court case, but it is generally believed from among the public and taxi operators that such platforms, there are about a dozen of them, do provide accessibility for people wanting to have taxis. Many at times at odd hours. If you look for a taxi at 11 o'clock at night, sometimes you don't get it because there's no one on the road. But such platforms can indeed go a long way to make available taxi services more readily to the public. I think the current budget makes provision for us to prepare a framework for this.
Okay. Okay, good. Now, Honourable Second Member for Grand Bay-Poudregon, Mr. Bijam.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. B1169.
Madam Speaker, I'm informed by the Beach Authority that the region of Melville in Grand Group comprises 3 proclaimed public beaches. One, the first beach of an extent of 2.15 hectares with a sea frontage of 525 meters, was proclaimed as Past-Geometric Melville Public Beach through General Notice 560/2010. Second, the second beach was proclaimed as Past-Geometric Melville Public Beach through GN 560/2010 and is of an extent of 2,113 hectares with a sea frontage of 330 meters. And 3, the third beach was proclaimed through General Notice 687 of 1963 as Îlot Matapan and part of Past-Geometric Melville Public Beach and is of an extent of 4.96 hectares and a sea frontage of 1,050 meters. Madam Speaker, the House may wish to note that for the financial year 2026-27, the funds to the tune of have been earmarked at the level of beach authority for the refurbishment of the existing toilet block and one mini kiosk, including benches on the first beach. The upgrading works on the toilet block include replacement of the metal roof, upgrading of the lighting and plumbing system, painting of the building. All of the amenities are in good conditions. The second beach has been kept in a natural state due to the calmness of the area and the presence of wild vegetation on the beach. With regard to the third beach, upgrading works were effected in October 2025, and all existing facilities are currently in good condition. Madam Speaker, the House may further wish to note that the Beach Authority will consider providing additional amenities and recreational facilities for the visitors on the 3 public beaches, subject to viability of funds in the coming financial years and compliance to all requirements for development along coastline. Any suggestion from the honourable member will be most welcome.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. May I ask the Honourable Minister whether, in view of the forthcoming Ganesh Chaturthi celebrations, during which beaches at Melville, Grand Gobe, Anse-Larrey, Poudre d'Or Village, among others, are visited by a large number of devotees and members of the public, can his ministry ensure that cleaning, maintenance, and any necessary minor repair works are carried out prior to the festival, so as to provide a safe and pleasant environment for all devotees?
Speaker, we are working on the forthcoming Ganesh Chaturthi festival, not only in Melville, but around all the coast where the devotees will be going.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Honourable First Member for Vaucluse-Floréal.
B1170.
Madam Speaker, after holding several consultations with relevant stakeholders, including tripartite consultation at the level of the Advisory Council for Occupation, Safety and Health, and with the technical assistance of the International Office for Migration, my ministry made the Occupational Safety and Health Centralized Lodging Accommodation Regulations 2026, which came into operation on 30th of June 2026. The regulations allow an owner of a building who holds a centralized lodging accommodation permit to accommodate foreign workers of different employers centrally in their lodging accommodation, instead of an employee having to rent a house to convert it into a lodging accommodation to accommodate foreign workers. The employer now will only need to rent 1 or more rooms in a licensed centralized lodging accommodation. The regulations also enhance the standard of lodging accommodation provided to migrant workers and require owners and employers to provide foreign workers with such amenities as are necessary to ensure a decent living condition. These amenities include, among others, internet and Wi-Fi facilities, common recreational area equipped with adequate seating facilities and a television set, water storage tank, common areas, water closet, a suitable treatment room, a kitchen equipped with adequate cooking facilities, suitable clothes storage facilities, a suitable living and dining area, and suitable washing and drying facilities. The regulations also prescribe the size of the rooms, the floor area, which varies depending on the number of persons who will stay in those rooms. A maximum of 8 persons can stay in a room. The regulation, however, do not provide any minimum or maximum number of persons that can be accommodated overall in a centralized lodging accommodation. And this was a deliberate policy to give greater flexibility to building owners, bearing in mind the demand for such centralized lodging accommodation. Madam Speaker, as regards the location and concentration of centralized lodging accommodation in any given locality or residential area, there is currently no restriction in the regulation, and currently there is no policy at the level of the ministry in that respect. However, a building and land use permit is required for all centralized lodging accommodation, and it will be up to for each local authority to have its own policy when authorizing a centralized lodging accommodation to be built in an area falling under its jurisdiction. Madam Speaker, as at date, my ministry has received no application to operate a centralized lodging accommodation.
Okay, yes.
J'aimerais savoir si le ministère évalue dans un premier temps et ensuite tient compte du nombre de facilités d'hébergement qui opèrent déjà dans une localité avant qu'un Centralized Lodging Accommodation Facility Permit ne soit délivré.
Yes.
As I mentioned, Madam Speaker, there is currently no such policy. It will be up to the local authorities, because we will request at the level of our ministry a valid building and land use permit. So it will be for each local authority to have regards to the number of existing dormitories, to have regards to complaints received by neighbors before they grant a building and land use permit.
Okay, second question.
D'un point de vue procédural, Madame la Présidente, si un bâtiment est déjà construit, il n'aura pas besoin d'un PMI de construction, il n'aura pas besoin d'un BLUP. Donc, dans ce cas, il n'y aura pas de consultation ni d'évaluation des hébergements déjà existants. Donc, dans ce cas-là, qu'est-ce que son ministère prévoit?
Qu'est-ce que le ministère?
Qu'est-ce que son ministère prévoit pour évaluer les hébergements déjà existants, pour qu'il n'y ait pas trop de concentration dans un même endroit? Ou alors, est-ce que son ministère envisage de collaborer avec les autres ministères, dont le ministère des collectivités locales, pour faire cette évaluation?
Minister.
Unfortunately, Madam Speaker, the honourable member is mistaken. Existing building, which will be converted into a dormitory or a centralized dormitory, will require a building and land use permit, and this has been the policy of local government. We have opinion to the effect that even if you have a private house, resident property, you need to convert and you want to convert it into a dormitory, you need a building and land use permit. So it will always, even for existing building, if they want to use it as centralized accommodation, they would require building and land use permit.
You can still keep in touch with the Minister of Local Government.
As I said, Madam Speaker, at the moment, the policy is on each local authority.
Yes.
Maybe going forward, there can be a policy at the level of my ministry, but for the time being, there's no such policy.
Good. Next question. Honourable First Member for
Thank you, Madam
Montagnons.
Speaker.
Yes.
B 1171.
Madam Speaker, the current grant-in-aid GIA scheme for private pre-primary schools was approved in 2023 and became operational on 1st January 2024. At present, 417 private pre-primary schools benefit from the scheme at an annual amount of approximately 825 million. In addition, 106 private pre-primary schools which did not opt to join the GIA scheme currently receive a monthly per capita grant of 400 rupees per child, representing an amount of 26 million annually. These schools are authorized to charge tuition fees from parents. Following the announcement made in the budget speech 2025-2026 regarding a review of the scheme, government established an interministerial committee to undertake a comprehensive assessment of the existing arrangements and to make appropriate recommendations aimed at ensuring the scheme's long-term financial sustainability while preserving access to quality early childhood education. Madam Speaker, in carrying out its mandate, the Interministerial Committee examined the existing scheme and considered representations received from private pre-primary school operators, the Confédération des travailleurs des secteurs publics et privés, CTSP, and other relevant stakeholders. Following its deliberations, government approved the committee's recommendations, namely, 1, the continued payment of salaries of employees of schools operating under the GIA scheme. B, the introduction of a revised staffing model whereby schools with an enrollment of up to 20 pupils will operate under a teacher-manager model, replacing the existing manager post. The incumbent will receive the salary applicable to a teacher together with a monthly managerial allowance of 5,000 rupees. C, the phased upgrading of qualifications of existing managers. D, the gradual phasing out of the grades of assistant teacher and assistant manager. E, the phased adoption of a teacher-pupil ratio of 1 to 20 in lieu of the current ratio of 1 to 15. F, reimbursement of a monthly rental expenses up to maximum of 5,000 rupees for the 33 schools with an enrollment of up to 20 pupils. G, the discontinuation of rental reimbursement for the 117 schools with an enrollment exceeding 20 pupils. H, a 50% reduction in the reimbursement of operational expenses. And I, the strengthening of governance, accountability, and monitoring mechanisms to ensure the transparent and efficient utilization of public funds. In addition, the monthly per capita grant of 400 rupees currently payable to the 106 fee-charging private pre-primary schools outside the GIA scheme will be discontinued. These measures were formulated after careful consideration of a long-term financial sustainability of the scheme, prevailing economic conditions, and the need to safeguard public resources, and the objective of preserving employment within the private pre-primary education sector. Madam Speaker, the reimbursement of operational expenses has been reviewed following inspections conducted by officers of the Early Childhood Care and Education Authority, which reveal instances where certain items claimed under operational expenditure, including furniture and equipment, which were either not utilized for educational purposes or were not being used in accordance with the objectives of the scheme. Similarly, rental reimbursement has been capped at 5,000 rupees per month for the 33 schools with an enrollment of up to 20 pupils. I wish to inform the House the disparity in the rental. There are some schools which have only 13 pupils, which have a monthly rental of 35,000 rupees, 38,000 rupees, 16,000 rupees, whereas other schools which manage with 1,000 rupees, 2,000 rupees, etc. Government considers that the grant represents only a limited contribution towards the fees paid by parents. Its discontinuation will enable available public resources to be redirected towards strengthening the support to the GIE scheme. Madam Speaker, as regards Part B of the Honourable Member's question, I wish to inform the House that the Interministerial Committee did assess the likely impact of the revised scheme, including its implications for low-income households. The assessment concluded that parents will continue to have access to free pre-primary education by enrolling their children either in the public pre-primary schools or in private pre-primary schools operating under the revised GIE scheme. It is pertinent to note that public pre-primary schools currently operate with approximately 50% unused capacity, thereby providing sufficient places to accommodate any increasement in enrollment. Allow me to inform the House that there are currently 4,467 vacant seats in our public pre-primary schools, which can cater up to 7,735 pupils. And we have 790 vacant seats in our pre-primary schools operated by local authorities, which can cater up to 1,460 pupils. Let me reassure the Honourable Member that our children coming from low-income households remain our main concern. For example, 357 children are registered under SRM scheme and benefit from the facilities they are entitled to. Besides this, currently all our children attending pre-primary schools in the 26 ZEP schools in the 4 zones are eligible for free meals. I wish to inform the House that in the same line of thought, my ministry is currently examining the feasibility of introducing, on a pilot basis, a program for the provision of free breakfast and free lunch to children attending public pre-primary schools situated in socially and economically disadvantaged areas. In parallel, my ministry will engage with the local authorities responsible for 39 public pre-primary schools under their jurisdiction with a view of encouraging them to consider the implementation of similar initiatives. The revised grant in aid scheme therefore seeks to ensure the prudent, transparent, and sustainable use of public funds while safeguarding equitable access to education in the pre-primary sector. It will also enable the Early Childhood Care and Education Authority to focus more effectively on its statutory responsibilities of regulating, monitoring, and enforcing compliance within the early childhood education sector.
Yes, honourable member, yes.
I thank the Honourable Minister for his answer. Can the Honourable Minister confirm the total number of children currently enrolled across those 106 fee-charging private schools losing the 400 per student subsidy, and what proportion of their families are estimated to fall within lower income threshold?
Now, as I have already mentioned, especially low-income group children, they are already looked after by the SRM scheme. Okay, and the next batch of children who go to ZEP primary schools, there when we have the PPU, the pre-primary unit, the children going in those schools, they are looked after, but they are provided free meal like the primary school students. We care for that.
Yes, second question.
Well, straightforward. How many children are concerned?
Do you have figures?
I will have to check the number, but I gave you for SSRM, I gave you the number earlier in my answer.
106 fee-charging private school.
If 106, I can give you the figure. It is 5,942.
Okay. Okay, next question.
Madame la Présidente, à la pêche avec la question 1172, s'il vous plaît.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member. Madam Speaker, pursuant to Section 168 of the Fisheries Act, the operator of a fishing vessel is presumed to have engaged in illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing or fishing-related activities where the vessel has failed to record or report its catches in accordance with any applicable conservation and management measure. Second, the vessel has made false reports. Now, in practice, the catch volume is estimated by the captain of the vessel during fishing operations at sea and accordingly recorded the fishing log books, whereas the officially declared catch data is recorded once the catch has been weighed after landing in the port. A difference between the two figures is considered acceptable as long as it is within a 10% variance, in line with the margin of tolerance established under the EU Regulations 2023/2842. Any deviation beyond that range is promptly investigated. Madam Speaker, I'm informed that as per the recorded figures for years 25-26, no significant discrepancies have been observed between the officially declared catch data and the actual catch volume recorded with regard to either tuna fisheries or bank fisheries, which are two major types of fisheries in our exclusive economic zone. Madam Speaker, our ministry is very strict in its approach to IUU, despite its limited manpower, to ensure the monitoring, control, and surveillance of EZ of more than 2 million kilometers. However, in line with best fisheries management practices, a risk assessment exercise is undertaken by the ministry to identify high-risk vessels for inspection. The ministry will continue to intensify monitoring, surveillance, and enforcement actions against any operator found to be in breach of the law, measures which have already been put in place to ensure that catches declared by fishing vessels accurately reflect the actual quantities caught and landed, including the following. 1, licensed fishing vessels are being monitored in near real time regarding the reported catch volume through the electronic reporting system which was introduced by the ministry in July last year. 2, the fishing log books of fishing vessels are verified at the time of boarding and inspection to ascertain that there is no discrepancy between the daily estimated catch data and the declared catch data. In case of any significant difference, a contravention is established for Mauritian fishing vessels, whereas the flag state or relevant regional fisheries maritime organization are notified for foreign vessels. 3, the movement and activity of licensed fishing vessels in our EZ is monitored by the Fisheries Monitoring Center of the Ministry on a 24/7-hour basis through satellite data. Any suspected IUU fishing is promptly referred to the National Coast Guard for interception at sea or any other appropriate action. And 4, vessels engaged in IUU fishing are prevented from accessing port and port services in Mauritius. My ministry, Madam Speaker, is progressively enhancing our monitoring, control and surveillance framework for bank fishery, including through the development of mechanisms to improve the verification of logbooks declaration against actual landed catch. These measures will ensure greater accuracy of catch data and strengthen fisheries management. To further enhance the monitoring, control and surveillance framework, officers will be trained in monitoring fishing operations. Advanced technologies and AI analysis will be used to improve traceability and data sharing among stakeholders. New regulations will be introduced under Fisheries Act, and regional cooperation for combating IUU fishing in the Western Indian Ocean will be enhanced. Madam Speaker, I don't know whether our good friend is referring to an article regarding the scale of fishing in the Chagos Archipelago being 25 times higher than the official statistics. The House may wish to know or be informed that Mauritius has as of now, no operational control in enforcing fisheries laws in the Chagos Archipelago. But of course, we are slated to take over ownership, and I hope it won't be too long.
Yes, do you have a question?
Oui, merci pour la réponse, Monsieur le ministre. Quels sont les moyens dont dispose le ministère de la Pêche pour contrôler les bateaux de pêche qui sont en haute mer, notamment les bateaux étrangers?
Well, we interface and interact with other relevant countries, but as you know, we have a WEZ. Control is being done through the monitoring surveillance system, but otherwise we rely on support from member countries, for example, like members of the IATC or other relevant organizations.
Happy? No? Second question?
La deuxième question. Le Premier ministre, ce matin, a énuméré une longue liste d'accords avec bilatéraux et plurilatéraux qui sont actifs pour le compte de l'océan Indien. Est-ce que le ministre peut envisager une coopération avec ces pays, avec les pays partenaires, pour un contrôle plus précis de la pêche?
If my honorable friend had paid heed to what I've said, as member of IOC and Indian Ocean Commission and Tuna Commission, we collaborate and cooperate. And if you recall, during the visit of the French president, we've strengthened bilateral cooperation and rely upon those who have the means to dispense the information so that there is proper coordination to ensure good surveillance and monitoring.
Thank you. We will end here for this morning. So I will suspend for 1.5 hours. Thank you, everyone.